What's up, YouTube? It has been quite a while since the last video. I don't even know, a month, 2 months, whatever it's been. Doesn't really matter. It's a little too long, I guess. But I needed a break from social media. Still kind of do, but I'm just doing this kind of for me. Kind of being selfish on this one. I really wanted to document like the change of the season and the progression of the market garden throughout the first year or whatever of farming here. So I gotta kick myself in the butt and get to work and get the camera out and do this. I've had so much going on. My Lyme disease has been flaring up for the last 2 months. It's been brutal. I've been in so much pain. Haven't slept good because of it. And yeah, it's just constant exhaustion. And then with the heat, because it's Florida and summer's coming and it's just getting hotter, that definitely doesn't help. So it's just been one thing after another. And then there's all these other things that I'm not even going to talk about on here. But it doesn't matter because now we're talking about the garden. So here's a little update on all of that. I'm really tired, so bear with me. Like I said, so much has changed. So much has been cropped out. So much has been reseeded, replanted. Yeah, so I'm just kind of go over everything and try and keep it short and sweet. But we know how that goes when I'm on camera. It doesn't work normally. So anyways, I'm gonna walk you around and show you what's going on. Okay, bear with me. There's the rooster, bear with him too. I'm using my phone, not my camera, with the gimbal, so it might be a little shaky. The batteries were dead on the camera, and if I had to plug them in this morning and charge them to do a video later, it just wouldn't happen. So we're just going with it. Squash that I planted along the fence is doing okay. These giant ones from here to the end of the trays down here, or the seed starting benches, they were planted like 2 months ahead, so they're just bigger. Everything else, I'm gonna step up here, hopefully I don't fall. Everything else is doing pretty good as far as the plantings that happened after these massive ones. They are getting some powdery mildew, but honestly, I'm just giving up on them. The fire ants are getting into the blossoms and eating like the centers of the flowers out, and so every time they set flowers, hold on. Every time they set, they'll get about that big, which that's technically a marketable size. But they always just die. They just rot off. Actually, there is one that made it, but forgot about it. I've picked out of these massive zucchinis, I mean, they're good size. Out of all of them, I've picked 2 zucchini. It's pathetic. So, forget the zucchini this year. Anyways, I'm gonna step out of here again. So yeah, back to the main garden. Dropping the zucchinis now. Parsley, I think I just need to like cut it all back, or at least go through and pick out all the dead leaves, and then throw some Harmony or something down. I think it's just lacking nutrients. It's been there literally all season and hasn't had any top dressing of compost or anything. And even though the top of the soil looks really good, 3 or 4 inches down, it's just sand. So nutrients just wash through. So I think it just needs a little bit of food, a little extra. This is all broccoli with lettuce in the middle. I've already harvested all of the broccoli out of it. All the side shoots have already come. And the lettuce bolted. I cut the seed off of it. Just haven't bothered with that bed yet. I don't have anything to replace it just yet aside from cover crop, so it can sit for a little bit. Watermelons, these guys are doing really good. This is a different variety. I have 2 varieties this year. I don't remember what it is. Hold on, I guess I'll tell you. Just in case I don't do another video. Crimson Sweet. It's doing really good. It's kind of a last minute, like When did I plant that? I started the seeds on March 15th. So how old is that? What's today's date? Those are 2 months old now. I had to think of the date. 2 months in, they will be 2 months in a couple of days. Anyways, they're doing good. The other variety is like maybe a quarter of the size of these ones. So they're starting to really take off, but they're planted the same day, started from seed the same day, planted in the garden the same day, got the same amount of attention. So I don't know, we'll see how they do. Salanova, looking good. That was planted 4 weeks ago. Yeah, about 4 weeks ago. This is a Tokyo Bacana, Asian green stuff. It gets some fungal problems this time of year, but the heart is still really good. So, and they're still growing. So I'll be able to pick all the outer leaves once these are a little bigger, pick them off, and then cut the whole head. And the lady at the local juice bar, juice restaurant, whatever, Gone Juicing, she uses them, and she really loves that green. I don't even know what you would call it. I would use it like a romaine, but it's technically in the cabbage family, or like more brassica, more like a bok choy, like a leafy bok choy. It's weird, it's its own thing. These are all rainbow carrots with a bunch of weeds. Look at that, it's disgusting. It's embarrassing. That tells you how bad I've been feeling. If I've got weeds in my garden, something's up. Whatever that stuff is. Salanova. No, it's not Salanova. Oh my gosh, that is Swiss chard. Sorry. Been dealing with armyworm like crazy, so I just cut the whole Salanova to the ground and let it regrow. Hold on, letting him drive by with the stump grinders. Yeah, it's Swiss cheese, Swiss chard. I'm probably just gonna cut it all out and just cover crop this bed already. I've literally done this 4 or 5 times. Haven't gotten much out of it as far as marketable produce goes, but it is what it is. These beds with wood chips, they all had crops here. I cut them, laid them in the bed to dry up and die. Like you can see, this is all bolted lettuce. And since I haven't been feeling too great, I just said screw it. I didn't want to throw it into buckets or a wheelbarrow and then take it to the chickens. So I just kind of chop and dropped it, which is not like me at all, but I'm adapting, I guess. Anyways, chopped and dropped it, let it dry up for about a week, and then broadcasted the cover crop, which some of them are not fully covered, but they're just black-eyed peas. And then I put about 1 inch to 2 inches of somewhat composted wood chips on top. And since they're just a nitrogen fixer, having just wood chips on top it'll be fine. I didn't amend these beds at all after planting. Plus, with all of that crop residue, that's gonna act as a nitrogen to help feed the beans a little bit, or peas. So it's kind of gonna balance itself out. And then once the cover crop grows up through this, I'll take you over to the entrance garden and show you what this will look like in a couple of weeks. But all that foliage will grow up on top, and then kind of, I guess right after they set peas, I'll go through and just weed whack it right to the ground and let all that crop residue sit, and then maybe broadcast another cover crop. I'm not going to be picking all the black-eyed peas, and I don't want them to become a weed for next year, and they could. When Jim does black-eyed peas at his place, he's got some little weevil thingamabob that comes through. I forget what they're called. I'm just covering up these guys. And it eats the peas, so he doesn't have any come up as a weed in his growing season. But last year I had, over there in the entrance garden, I had the Puerto Rican black cowpea, and that dropped seed from, I normally saved every pod, but apparently I missed some, and they came up everywhere. So I don't think that little weevil thing is here yet, and I do not want to see this whole area covered in pea seedlings when I'm trying to plant next fall. That would not be fun. Bunching onion. I'm so blown away by this stuff. Like I've said it in the last few videos that like everybody and their brother grows this from seed and then pulls the whole plant and markets it with roots. I started just cutting it and letting it regrow. And these things are great. They're perfect size. I mean, as far as size go, they're about the size of my finger, about 2 feet tall, amazing looking. Even when they flower, I cut them off at the ground and they regrow. I think I've got some from last week. Like this was 2 weeks ago. So this is the regrowth in just 2 weeks. Like if I had to start another couple trays of bunching onion, I mean, it would be 2 months from seed to get something like that. This is a week. I cut this for market on Tuesday. Today's Friday. It's not even a week, but that's all the regrowth. And you can see like where I cut it. And then in no time, it'll look like this again. This is the original 2 beds of bunching onion that I planted in the beginning of the season. So back in, probably would have been around October that these went in. I'd have to look at my notes again. But yeah, I mean, it's insane. I've harvested this entire bed, or both of these entire beds, at least 2 or 3 times, and they just keep coming back. That's regenerative farming. It's pretty cool. Anyways, radishes, they're doing good. They've got some alternaria problems, but they're bulking up. They're doing fine. Empty bed. This was all carrots. Salanova with dill down the middle. The first maybe 15-20 feet have tip burn, but everything else looks good back there. That's all harvested. I'm only getting 1 cut out of the Salanova this time of year. It's just too hot, so it's more of a quicker crop. Through the winter, I'll get 3 or 4 cuts out of some of it, but it is what it is. Carrots, doing good. This is that Pompel specialty onion that I planted a while back. Some of them, okay, sorry, an alarm went off on my phone. They're bulking up. Some of them are, at least. I don't know. They've had some fungal problems. I might just plant them at a different time of year next year and see how they do. But, well, this first 10 feet of the bed looks a little rough, but further down they look better. This is all Salanova. They got cropped out and I didn't cover it, so it's sending up little offshoots, which is fine. I'll go through and I'll probably just cut that out. Probably won't even use it. But arugula, that's pretty much done. I might get 1 more cut out of it. I'm just picking individual leaves. Takes a little longer, but I didn't plant another bed, so I'm just kind of getting what I can out of that and then just being done with it for the season. No more arugula. Beets, they look like my Swiss chard. Oh, that's so bad. They've got Cercospora and armyworm. Thrashing them, but the beets all look good, so I'm cutting them, bunching them, and then cutting the tops off, just leaving enough stem to keep a rubber band around them. Look at that. We've got some ink caps. They're a nematophagous fungi. It's those guys that are what keeps my nematodes at bay. I don't have much of a nematode problem, if any, and it's because every day you come out in the early morning right after the irrigation is run or it's rained, and those guys are everywhere. But I like that they're in my carrot bed because I don't want funky looking carrots. Collard greens, they're doing good. They look like goofy little palm trees. But yeah, they're doing good. they've got some caterpillar damage. I just keep pruning it off. I don't even feel like bothering with BT. I mean, this time of year, it's just, you're fighting nature to be farming here. So I'm getting what I can out of it and not worried about the rest. This was a bed for the longest time. I think in the last video, this was all spinach that never grew. It just kind of grew to 2 inches and then stayed, and then I planted radishes and they did the same thing. I don't know what the heck the deal was with this entire bed. It was so even with like stunted growth. So then I cut all that out and then planted 3 rows of beans, and they never really took off. You can see them still pushing through. And this was a bed of fennel with bunching onion, that giant bed of massive fennel. I cut all of the fennel out. You can see that it's starting to regrow from the stumps, and that's fine. I'll get a couple extra bulbs out of that. And then cut all that bunching onion last week, and it's growing back. But anyways, I took all that fennel and just laid them on top of both of these beds and let them dry up, toss my cover crop, those black-eyed peas down, and then put 1.5 inches, 2 inches of mulch on top. These beans didn't get covered on the edges, so they're coming back, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Just let them become a cover crop. Same with this bed. There used to be carrots here once upon a time, and you can see I missed a couple. But yeah, cover cropped them, leaving this one open just to see what regrowth I get out of it, and then I might interplant something in the 3 sections around the bunching onion. This is that other variety of watermelon. You can see it is not as big as the watermelon is at the other end of the garden, down yonder. Which one was this? Jubilee. So maybe this just needs to be started earlier. I don't know. The watermelon was so last minute, so. But next year I think I'm gonna do a whole lot more watermelon in this area. Maybe at the new property. I don't know, we'll see what happens. But this is my backup collard bed. I planted this not long after the freeze because I didn't know if all of those collards would recover in time. And they did. So these are all pretty much just extra collards. They've got radishes interplanted that I never finished pulling. And some of them are like massive in there and they need to come out. But that's one more thing to do, so I just haven't touched it, and I don't really need to right now, so prioritizing. Carrots, doing great. What did I have here? Oh, I had Napa cabbage that was interplanted with Salanova once upon a time. Napa cabbages, they all got eaten by fire ants, so I just kind of chopped and dropped them. And then this is all collard greens that I pruned off of those. Still need to prune those, so once that's done, all of those will go here. And then I'll cover crop that and put some mulch on top. So that's acting as a green manure since I'm not putting actual compost and just putting carbon, just pretty much raw wood chips down. So it'll balance out over time. Those are carrots. Most of this bed is harvested. This will get, well, I might plant something for the summer in this bed. I don't know if I'm gonna do a cover crop right there. This was all Salanova. Cut that out yesterday. And just like the rest of the beds lately, I've just been chopping and dropping and leaving it. And then I put roselle, like a roselle hibiscus, 1 row of it all the way down the bed. These will get massive and I'll be able to sell the roselle buds or whatever you want to call them. Can't think of the proper name for them. But anyways, I'm gonna mulch this once the Salanova dries up a little bit. That Salanova will just become food for the roselle. But like I said, normally all of that would go to the chickens, but it's just not happening this week or lately. No, this isn't marijuana. This is all edible leaf hibiscus. So I want to say this one is Chief Kubo, the thin leaf one. Look at that is cilantro. I have a bunch of cilantro coming up because I saved seed and missed a bunch. yeah, so this edible leaf hibiscus will get really big, and I'll be using that in my hippie mix, which will be like my summertime salad mix. I've got some other stuff that I'll be planting soon for that, but yeah, kind of stay tuned for that. That'll get really nice and big, and as I harvest it, I'll be pruning, so it'll bush out, and it'll kind of be like this nice, really cool looking hedge, hopefully. Same with the roselle. The roselle will get really big, so it'll be interesting. This is just bunching onion next to that. But yeah, there's that garden. I'm gonna show you the Syntropic Area. All right, so this area is in desperate need of some TLC. The nitrogen fixing trees that I can never remember the name of, they're growing like crazy. They need to be lopped back, so they put out some nitrogen from the roots, and then those branches will get laid into the messy syntropic beds. This grass is ridiculous. That needs to be cut desperately, and the weeds need to be pulled in this thing like crazy. But if you don't look at all that and you pay attention to the peppers, you'll see that the peppers are doing good. My Cherokee Trail of Tears beans, again, this part of the bed is like a few other beds I've showed you so far. This half isn't doing too hot, but the back half is doing okay. They're climbing, producing a ton of beans. People are loving them at market. There's extra bunching onion. Never did anything with that. Grass that needs to be cut. Cucamelons and cucumbers, they're doing good. Cucamelons are taking over like I wanted them to. And then the cucumbers, they've been producing, but not too well. I feel like they may have just needed more sun. Once the sun's over there right now. Once that gets up, this is all pretty much full sun with like filtered shade from the trees and stuff, but I don't know. The Syntropic Area doesn't get a ton of airflow when everything's growing like this, so there is fungal problems. Like all of my tomatoes down there, which I'll show you, they're all on their way out already because they've all got fungal problems and I can't keep up with it. I wasn't gonna start spraying biological fungicides on them to help fight the fungus problems, but because as soon as you start doing that, you almost have to keep doing it. Plant kind of becomes like reliant on it. So yeah, I'm not even bothering with it. Fennel, doing good. Hopefully this camera isn't too shaky. Again, don't look at all the weeds, but look at all the peppers on there. They look good, right? Those are all brown jalapenos. They'll brown up a little bit. I've got shishito on the end. This is my second succession of cucumbers. They look good with the exception of a few. I think there's some vine borer action going on, but they're loaded with flowers. They're climbing. Once these cucumbers phase out, I'm gonna plant, I'll probably just leave the plants there and plant an entire row of that Puerto Rican black cowpea to save seed from again. But yeah, just keep the same trellis up. This is an entire row of Brandywine tomatoes. It's the first one that's starting to ripen. They've got a bunch of fruit on them. This is kind of a second succession for tomatoes. These are all banana peppers, doing good. Salanova, planted that last week. Had a, whatever those little turds are called, armadillo come in and mess up a bunch, but oh well. My big slicers. I will put some clips right now of this row and what I've been pulling out of here. I am so impressed with my tomatoes this year. They looked so good. I was saving this one for seed too. I had a bigger one that I picked yesterday, but it got bruised somehow. And then there's fruit fly, but I'll still save seed from it, but it still sucks. It's a nice tomato. Was a nice tomato. But they're producing really well. They're not really putting out much as far as new tomatoes go. That was a super bloom. That's why it looks all funky. It's actually 2 tomatoes, 1, 2, even though they're fused, kind of like a twin tomato. That's 2 tomatoes. Anyways, temperatures have been getting hotter, humidity's been rising, and so even though they are flowering, they're dropping flowers and they're not really pollinating too well. But it is what it is. It's Florida. I'm lucky I got all these big tomatoes. My record tomato, as far as size goes this year, it was 1 pound. It was like I think it was 1.81. I have a picture that I'll put up, but it was a hefty tomato. I saved seed from that yesterday, and I'm gonna use that seed for next year. My goal is to get a 3-pound tomato next year, so let's see how I do. Let's see if I can get out of this sun. There we go. These are all the cherry tomatoes. I had tomato hornworm come in, apparently, eat up 2 plants. These things normally were loaded, but again, they're kind of phasing out for the season. So many weeds, oh my gosh. Lots of fungal problems, because again, there's no airflow in this thing. It's so congested. Even if I pruned, it's the natural humidity is so high right now. Really not even that high compared to what it will be in the summer. But yeah, tomatoes like it dry, so they're just struggling. And then this was all carrots that armadillo destroyed, and I just haven't done anything with the bed because literally every night it gets dug up like that. So yeah, that's the Syntropic system. Aside from all the crazy stuff that's going on in there that isn't ideal, everything else is doing okay. Now I'm gonna take you over to the entrance garden so you can get a quick glimpse of what all that cover crop is gonna look like in a couple weeks. All right, so here is the entrance garden. Got a mole that's been coming up all over the place. I gotta deal with him soon. But this is all that black-eyed pea that I cover cropped in the main garden. So I did the same thing. This whole area was compost. Oh good, more mold damage, great. Just chopped and dropped, broadcasted the seed on top after it dried, and then put 1.5 inches, 2 inches of mulch on top. These 2 beds are actually I think they're just trilogy. Well, they're not trilogy bush beans. I bought each individual color that I wanted and mixed it at the right ratio that I like. So they're kind of my own trilogy bush bean. Been picking out of them. Once that's done, I might put black-eyed peas there. I don't know, we'll see. This is actually another bed of, so it's 3 beds. This is all Seminole pumpkin. They're doing really well. There's like no disease on them. I am dealing with the ants, just like I am with the zucchini. Look, you can see some. They go in there and then they eat the center of the flower and then the fruit drops off. But I do have some fruit that's setting. Like, there's one that'll take, I think I've got a couple more in there, but there's tons of flowers. Look how healthy that foliage is. But yeah, Seminole pumpkins are doing good. Celery, kind of just like my parsley in the other garden, I think it just needs some food. I haven't amended these beds. They've been in this, it's the main crop that was in this bed. Nothing was ever planted here before it. And that was the beginning of the season 6 months ago. So I think it just needs a little extra food. And it might put out some more growth, but again, it's the end of the season, so I'm not really bothering with it. Once that's gone, I'm gonna cover crop it anyways. More black-eyed peas. That mole came up last night. That's the nice, lovely sugar sand soil that I deal with, and everybody else in Florida deals with. Bulb fennel, doing good. and more black-eyed peas. But yeah, that is the entrance garden now. Look how lush it looks though. Anyways, hope you like this video. Somewhat of an update. I guess it's just as much of an update as I normally give. But anyways, I don't know when the next video is gonna be. I don't know when I'm gonna have the energy to do another one, because after this I have to edit it and then upload it and deal with the slow Wi-Fi right now. So yeah, we'll see. I'll see you when I see you, or you'll see me when you see me, or whatever. Come out to the market, Tasty Tuesday market. I'm still there. I think I'm gonna keep going. Well, I'm definitely gonna keep going until there's nothing left in the garden to sell. But then I'll also have plants, so I think I'm just gonna keep showing up throughout the summer. Last two markets, I've hit new records at the Tasty Tuesday market, and I'm pretty impressed for the amount that we're bringing in on a Tuesday. Crazy, but it's cool. I'm not complaining, that's for sure. So yeah, come out to Tasty Tuesday. I'm not really doing Trinity anymore. Wasn't really impressed with that market, honestly, sales wise. It's a nice market. I'm the only produce guy, but once a month, it's for what I was making there once a month, Saturday or whatever, wasn't worth it. So trying to think, what else am I missing? Compost tea. My new truck that I'm looking at over there right now, my new older truck, I've been dealing with some problems with that. It's an amazing truck. It's just got some hiccups because it sat for a little while. But anyways, after buying that, what money I do have right now is going back into that to kind of fix it up and make it really, really nice. And yeah, I need a set of wheels so I can get groceries and everything else that I need to do. But my money's going into that. I still need to order compost tea ingredients. I've been trying for the last 3 months now, I think, to get ingredients from the family-owned business that I deal with in Washington, that I normally get my ingredients from and have been for the last 5 years. But they've got a lot going on and I haven't been able to get in touch with them, and so it's just been really, really hard. So I think I'm gonna have to order bulk and have it shipped out here on a pallet, and that is not cheap, and right now I just don't have the money to do it. So there are several orders that have come in because it's all just on back order, and as soon as I get the ingredients, all those orders will be filled and shipped out the week I get all of the stuff. So yeah, I was planning on ordering a pallet worth of ingredients a couple weeks ago, but stuff came up as it always does. So I'm trying. I'm working with what I got, and just stay patient, please. So far, everybody's been really, really understanding, so it's been good. But if you want, you can still order tea. I'll put a link in the description. Like I said, it's all on back order right now, so if you order, that kind of helps get the funds into my account where I can order the bulk right away. I hate doing that because I just don't like doing that, but you know, it helps, and people really want the tea. Customers come and almost yelling at me, like, why don't you have your tea at the market? Like, it's become in such high demand, so I just need to make that investment as soon as I have the extra money on hand to do it. So it's been rough lately. Anyways, that's the update. I'm walking against the sun. That's the update. Hope you liked the video. As my season's kind of ending here in the summer, or in the beginning of summer here in Florida, everybody else's season throughout the rest of the country should be picking up. It is May. So yeah, hope everybody's gardening season goes well this year. Hopefully I get this tea out there so you guys can experience it throughout your gardening season. And yeah, happy gardening, God bless, and hopefully it won't be too long till the next video. Thanks.